You all join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God, we thank you that we have the opportunity to come together and visit. Pray you guide our commissioners as they work with us and make decisions. And watch over our holy there. Citizens.
Amen. Call this meeting of the Linn County Commissioners to order. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll second.
Motion been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion, we pay the claims in the amount of $902,617.64.
Been moved to, is there a second? I'll second it. It's been moved to pay the claims in the amount of $902,617.64. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
We had 3 ads and abates. If I get them knocked out too. There's a barrel.
I'll make a motion that we approve ad and abates for 2023, 159 through 161.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to accept the ads and abates. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And then were you wanting Jason to go ahead and go into executive session?
Yes.
Before you have anything else?
Okay, I move that we go into, that we recess from the Board of Commissioners meeting into executive session for 15 minutes. 15 minutes to discuss individual employees' performance pursuant to non-elected personnel matter exception KSA 75-4319B, Section 1, to protect the privacy of an employee.
I'll second.
Motion been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, we are back in open session. There's no action from executive session. AMR?
Good morning, Virgil Swanson with AMR. I set some numbers down there for you gentlemen. It looked like last week we had 34 callouts with 21 transports. I'm not aware of any concerns or such I need to bring to you guys unless you had questions for me.
I don't.
I don't have any.
Thank you, Virgil.
Good. Have a great day.
You too. Randy, fire?
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Higwold, Linn County Rural Fire Emergency Management. Sent out the call list. We had 6 incidents last week. Brings our yearly total up to 11. We've been lucky with the bad weather, not have to have crews out in this weather and our equipment. Want to thank IT for the radio project. We're up and using the new handhelds and mobiles. They seem to be working real well for us, very clear. We've had some bumps along the way, but Chris has worked hard to get those smoothed out for us and going from one system to the other, so I appreciate that. The only other thing I have is I talked to David, and we have a credit card through the Labette Bank, and I was going to ask permission to add a credit card for Brian. Where that runs into a problem is, like a couple weeks ago, I had to run to Kansas City to pick up a repaired piece for a truck because he didn't have a credit card to pay for it. And like if there's pieces online that needs to be ordered, he can do that instead of coming back to me to order those replacement parts or anything like that. So I was just asking permission to add him to the Labette County bank for a credit card. And that's nothing we need a decision today, just I wanted to ask permission.
We do that in other departments like.
We do. I've got like 10 of them that I manage that are all under my account. But
So
typically,
he would still be under,
it would be under Randy's account that he already has. The biggest thing is the auditors want to see approval to get a card in the commission minutes if somebody's going to get a new
So
one.
if we approve it, and
Yeah.
okay,
I don't have a problem with it.
I don't either. Danny, do you have a problem with that? Okay,
I think if you are okay with it, it would probably be best to have a motion authorizing him to get a card for Brian.
okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve Brian Schroeder for a credit card with the
Labette Bank.
with Labette Bank.
Okay. I'll second that motion. It's been moved and seconded to approve a credit card for Brian Schroyer under the fire account at Labette Bank. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The only other thing I had was we canceled the cybersecurity class that was supposed to take place last weekend. We are in the process of rescheduling it. We did have quite a few people reach out and sign up for that class, but due to the weather, we thought it was safe to go ahead and reschedule.
Okay.
So we'll put that information out as soon as we can. That is all I have.
Randy, would you be able to provide us with the, your training calendar from last year as well as your training calendar for this year?
Yes. So like I know coming up end of the month on the 31st, I'm just thinking close up to date things.
You can just bring it in if you would.
Okay. Do you want like every time like an individual station done their training?
Yes.
Okay, I can do that. You
Okay.
want that? Email that this week?
Emailed out. Yep.
Okay.
That'd
No
be
problem.
great. And then we can talk about it next week.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Okay, sheriff's report, total prisoners, 58, 13 releases this past week. Total farmed in, or prisoners in, 57, total farmed out, 1, due to a conflict. Total, okay, Total prisoners in 57. Total farmed out 1 due to a conflict. Farmed in 38. Total 911 calls 65. Jail contacts 3,998. Total calls for service 453. Civil service papers served 10. VIN inspections 1. New cases opened 6. Cases closed 7. Vehicle crashes 7. SRO activities 91. Calls for service. Bailiff 90 contacts with 42 calls for service. Only 1 livestock out. And current daily income from inmate housing is $2,954.50 per day. Jessica?
Good morning, Commissioners. Jessica Hightower, Economic Development. This morning, we got last week, oh, I'm gonna sneeze, excuse me. Last week, we received our yearly invoice from the Southeast Kansas Regional Planning Commission for our membership with them. The total this year is $3,838.65. It has not changed since 2021. So that is based on a base fee of, let's see, $2,400, which that's the base fee for all the counties involved, and then 15 cents per capita based on the 2020 census. So our amount is $3,838.65, and that comes out of my budget. We budget for that. What I need from you all today is they are asking us to update our general membership list. I'm on the executive board. Darren Wilson is on our membership list. David is listed as my alternate. We also had Jackie Messer and Doug Barlett still listed as on our general membership list. They're no longer with the county. I would suggest that we appoint Sean West and Randy Hegwald to fill those 2 spots. And the general members, basically, they get invited once a year to our annual meeting. They don't really have a lot of things that they're required to do for being on the general member list. This is just something that we need to update periodically.
Can you explain what the Southeast Regional Planning Commission does?
So they administer grants for us. They are administering our ARPA grant to make sure that we stay in compliance with all the rules and regulations with that. They submitted our CDBG grant that we applied for on behalf of STARS, and they're administering that one. And they do, they also won the Safe Streets for All grant for the whole region through the bipartisan infrastructure law to do the road study. So they do a lot of grant administering for the county. But then when we're a member, all of our cities can become members for $50, and then they can have access to all of the services through the regional planning as well. And several of our cities have utilized those services. So
They reach out to you about potential grants and stuff like that. So you need to renew the membership, you said?
we need to update our general membership. So we need to, if you would like to appoint Sean and Randy for those spots, that would be fine. If one of you would like to be on the general member instead, that would be fine as well. It's really up to you all, but I've spoken to both of them and they're willing to go on the list.
Okay. Good with those changes?
I'm good with it, yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we add Randy Hagwald and Sean West as our members on the SEK Regional Planning Commission.
I'll second it.
Motion's been moved and seconded to add Randy and Sean as our members for the Regional Planning Commission. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
And then I would just like to let you guys know I got the fiscal year 26 high-risk rural roads grant turned in last week. And the sheriff's department and the mapping department were both very helpful in helping me get the data I needed for that application. So just wanted to make sure that I thanked them properly. That's all I had for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris? IT?
Good morning, Chris Martin, Linn County IT Director. Last week, there was a question on the Evergy bill at the old sheriff's office. So I asked Sean if it was all right if I look into that for you guys, which we did. His office pulled some bills from last year. I checked the building. There was no air conditioning or heating running. There was 3 fans, just blower fans that were running in the building. The water's been shut off. So there wasn't really any utility usage over there. There is a line that runs from there over to the old courthouse, that into the room that used to be the server room. That way it was on the generator that was at the sheriff's office. So that is still in place, but there's no servers. There's just switches. So it'd be very minimal use. I called Evergy because this bill has a lot of line item charges. They're supposed to be getting back to us as to describing what those are. However, in talking with them, just so you're aware up front, we believe it's a minimum meter fee for commercial 3-phase electric. Where they're at with that particular building, I guess they have different plans or different rates depending on your usage. We can ask them to go down to, we're on medium right now. They said there is a low usage option for it. It would probably save roughly $100 a month, they thought, up front. However, you're going to be locked in for a year at that lower usage. Should the building start being used within that year, your bill could go up substantially because you would begin exceeding those thresholds on that billing. So that's just food for thought if that's something you want to do. The other thing that it brought up is there is a light somewhere that we're paying $25 a month for. It says it's on a pole. I've actually talked with the clerk. I've talked with a few other people. I drove around. We can't find a light on a pole, but the only address they have on here is 315 Main. So it's the entire block. Everything for this bill is the whole block. I didn't want to tell them to shut it off if it was like in the parking lot of the courthouse or something. So they are reaching out to their field people to look up the pole number and determine where this light is that we're paying $25 a month for.
Okay.
So I just wanted you to be aware that, yeah, as far as the 400 and something, that would be what they anticipate we would continue to pay unless, of course, we get rid of the light. I expect we probably
It'll be
will.
every month we'll pay that.
Yeah,
We have been paying it.
yeah. Actually, these bills are lower than we have been because there was some air conditioning running in the summer, keeping the air conditioners were set at 80 degrees. So what they were trying to do was just keep a little air movement back in the jail spaces so it wasn't getting damp for any particular reason. So there was some higher bills, but they've all leveled off at this roughly $450 a month range.
I would have penciled out if you had to pull the meter all together, didn't have electricity in there until you decide to start using the building or tear it down.
So I asked them that question as well, but we would pay a disconnect fee.
I know.
And they were supposed, again, this was all like Thursday. So they said they would probably email back this week some of this information. I know we had looked into that once previously.
So there's nothing we're using this for. I mean,
No, except for that room in the basement of the old courthouse, which we could have an electrician move the feed to that panel back into the courthouse. We just wouldn't have any sort of backup, but that's okay. There's batteries that'll keep that running for an hour or two. It just won't run longer than that without a generator.
we can shut off $400 and some a month. I'm pulling the meter.
Okay.
And I'll have to also find out, because we kind of discussed this once before, the reconnect, if you were to decide to reconnect, can be,
If it's gonna cost you $1,500 to reconnect and you're gonna start using the building in 3 or 4 months, it wouldn't be the smart thing.
right.
Right,
But if you're not gonna use it for a year, it would be.
right. Okay. So
Yep, that's what I have for you.
follow up on that stuff and get it back to us.
We'll do.
Right.
If I may, I'll also, just to answer a question that I had received regarding the new the new notification and its polling abilities. The question was posed, is there a way to use that to potentially, I don't want to say, maybe supplement or however you wanted to put that in regards to like a solar question or something like that, instead of having it on a ballot or whatever. We did look into that. I called them, talked to them a little bit. The key is going to be the data of who it's being sent to. So if we had a list that was authoritative, and this becomes the problem, is because I talked to David a little bit and a few other people for where we could possibly get a list of phone numbers and email addresses, but it would need to be comprehensive for every. We looked at voters, but that may not be the best because not everybody that owns property is a voter in Linn County. You could live in Johnson, but you own property in Linn.
Right.
Now you're not on our list, right? So I'm not sure where we could come up with that particular list, but if we could, yes, we could use that. We could load that data in, send that out. People would respond, and that system would say, "Hey, you can only respond once." That was kind of the question: is how do we prevent somebody from responding 10, 20 times, or something of that nature? So to answer that question, yes, but only if we can get a data source that has phone numbers and email addresses for the individuals, and it would have to be pretty comprehensive, and I don't know where to come up with that. So does that answer? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Anything else?
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
Sean?
Sean West, Public Works. You'll notice I sent out the agenda last week with files that I sent to you. I sent it early, so some things have changed, and I do have some updates to it. One of those is the cost summary by task that I got late in the week. I do have hard copies for you, and I can put that digitally out to you sometime this week.
Is there 3 of them? Yeah.
Thing I had was the update for the Hellsbend Bridge project. You should have received a update for it. I spoke with the engineer Monday by phone. Contractors he spoke to didn't think design change would make a large difference in our total bid of the project. He did learn that the rising cost of steel and the short construction time to complete the build, along with the railroad flagging cost and the way it was added to the bid specs, may contributed to the high bid or lack of bidders. His recommendation, which he is doing, is reaching out to KDOT, seeing if they can open up the length of construction time and to cap the flagging cost and pay it outright and then add it to the construction cost. Just a different way of bidding it to lessen the liability to the construction company bidding the project. He does plan, once he's got all that information, to come speak to you directly. After that meeting, he would make contact with KDOT and we would start the process of reletting the project. BG Engineering has only been involved for a couple of years on the project. So as far as other options to the project that may have been looked at or discussed, he was not familiar with. In discussing an at-grade crossing, he was more than willing to look at it with the design and the surveys that we've got. It would cost approximately $500 to complete that. It would be a tabletop only. It would be, as I said, looking at the design and the survey work that we've already paid for, taking that and making a first blush at what that would look like and what the cost would be. And he has not got back to me on any estimates as far as the length or longevity of the standing bridge.
What do you think? $500 to find out about a road.
I think it's well worth it. I mean, I'm surprised they never discussed it to begin with.
They haven't been our engineer on this project long enough to know what was ruled out or discussed, what your predecessors may have done to make that decision, or what they may have ruled out. So there's some missing parts to this as well.
I don't have a problem with looking at it for $500. I mean, to see if there's a cheaper way.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and look at it.
Okay? The on-call engineering, you should have the spreadsheets on that and the cost proposals by the engineering companies or groups. Our recommendation is that we enter into an agreement with Call Valley. That is based on services provided.
How many of those services do we use?
How many of their services do we?
How many of those services that they provide do we use, I guess is what I'm asking. So,
We have used engineering, design, and the last time we looked at a roadway project, the company that we were involved with would have had to have outsourced any surveying because they didn't have surveying available. So that's one of the reasons that we're considering Call Valley. Also, any agreement that we'd enter in with any other companies that would bid it cheaper, you have travel time, which would also, once they get in the vehicle, the clock and the meter starts running, and those costs from the difference on what we're charged hourly, I believe are going to be made up on location.
so Call Valley's just hourly then, no.
Closer.
I see that's Lenexa, but
So,
some of them's Lawrence or Olathe and Mission. I just,
They all charge mileage.
yes, they add mileage and travel time. But the services that they provide on the list and the cost that they bid, I believe over the projects in the next year that we would be able to use those services. Like I said, in past, trying to go out and have an engineering company contract a survey company has been very difficult because surveyors have been very busy. So to have surveyors on board or other design engineers on board would be a benefit.
Do we utilize them to the fullest, do you believe?
I'm
Do we
sorry.
utilize them to the fullest? I mean, it seems like what do we use them on? What have we used them on last year?
Roadway projects, bridge concerns, and design for other projects that we're considering as far as roadway engineering. A few emergency callouts to look at bridges and give us, I guess, direction on how to repair those without interrupting or harming the coming bridge inspection. since we don't have a county engineer.
For example, when we had that whole road, here, you called them to come down and give you advice to fix it.
Anything that we would want to know from them that would tell us not only that our plan would structurally enhance the bridge, but would not interfere with the inspection or impair the inspection of the bridge. And they have consulted on realignment of roadways and other projects.
There's no upfront fee. We're paying them per hour. This is just who we have on call.
That's correct.
This is a yearly contract, right?
It has been.
Any? Okay. I am too. Make a motion. We use Call Valley out of Lenexa as our on-call engineer.
I'll second.
Motion been moved and seconded to use Call Valley out of Lenexa for our on-call engineer. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Old District Court, I spoke to Randy last week and this morning. His projection is sometime between early in the month to the middle of the month on February.
So can we plan to move over beginning of March?
I would think that would be reasonable, yes, based on the conversation I had with him this morning.
Can we go ahead and plan that? And do we need to reach out to the departments that are involved and let them know a tentative date?
Yeah, it'd be good for them to have a few weeks to anticipate.
Well, we're gonna use Public Works to move it, or what are we doing?
We would use Public Works to help assist it and maintenance to help assist in moving office furniture, equipment, and things of that nature. If we're going to project a solid date, I would recommend we wait till February 1. If we're going to project March 1, that would still give them 30 days, but it would give Randy enough time to see where the electrical and things are going to give us a firm date.
And I think definitely check with Lisa Kelstead, because I know is a big mailing that the appraisers send out around the 1st of March. So
Right.
I have to time around when they're working on all that stuff.
So tentatively plan for March, and if there's any pushback, we can.
Let them know.
Mm-hmm. I'll plan to update you at the 1st of the month.
Okay.
Countywide HVAC RFP, we're asking to go out to bid. There's no commitment on this. We're just asking to put it out to bid to see if we can get a bid for servicing those units.
Anybody have a problem with them going out for bid on this?
No.
I don't either.
Next thing I had for you was the high-risk rural roads grant agreement for 1095 from 1650 to 152. Believe that was sent out in your packet as well. I marked the signature pages on those.
Oh, what was it?
It's the C.
Oh, this way.
Done. All right, and this is a grant we've already accepted, right? And said we're going to go through with.
That's my understanding. This is the grant to do road and sign improvements from 1650 to 152 on 1095. And I would have to look to refresh myself on the cost split on the grant, but it should have been 90-10. Should have been listed on the information that I sent out to you.
What's the fee on our portion?
10%.
10%. We don't know what it,
No, there was,
Yeah, I think it was capped.
I thought there was a cap to.
Remember what it was?
I believe it's 4,000, that one,
104,000,
and that includes the preliminary engineering.
which we're required to pay 100% of.
Yeah, that's what we had in last week's minutes was the grant amount was 400, or the total project was 470 with our cost being 104.
Total.
Yeah.
When does this take place? What? I see.
I think the actual work will be done in the next 2 years.
Is it 20,
Yes.
26 or?
No,
25.
this one is for fiscal year 25. It's federal fiscal year, so it's, it'll be the summer of 2025. So we've planned to overlay it this year, and then next summer we'll do the grant work.
Will we know how this one pans out, how this one goes before we're looking at the grant on the other side, the other half of 1095?
Probably not. We should get notification of whether we get the 26 grant within the next 3 or 4 months, I would guess. So we would probably not. Because these grants, the letting, I mean, we've already got Peppercorn contracted for the preliminary engineering for the grant that's supposed to take place next year. So these are, the whole process is 2 years, roughly. So we're not going to be in the middle of the work on the current grant before we know about the next year, no. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Any questions on this?
And this was based off of a study that was done, right? I mean, this ain't something we're just pulling out of thin air and putting money towards.
So this particular grant, that section had a risk score of 19 out of 25 based on the local road safety plan that KDOT facilitated. So KDOT brought in an engineering company. We didn't pay for it, they did. And this was one of the highest risk factor roads in the plan. The fiscal year 26 portion of 1095 is also a risk factor of 19. So that entire road is one of the riskiest, according to that plan, one of the riskiest roadways that we have. And this grant it's designed to mitigate some of those risks. So better signage, clearing,
Sightline.
line of sight, and maybe marking the pavement, doing some guardrails. This isn't road construction, but it's safety measure construction.
I don't have any more questions on it.
Okay.
I'm okay with it.
So do you want a motion to allow the chair to sign? Would that be
That's
appropriate?
all of us signing.
All right, everyone to sign.
All I'll make a motion, we enter into agreement on 1095 high-risk rural road project on the portion of 1095 highway.
I'll second it. Motion been moved and seconded to enter into the agreement on the high-risk roads grant for the 1095 project from 1650 to K152. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
Just one click. I do have one question on that, Jessica. Are you budgeting for that? Is that coming out of the road and bridge special fund? What's that?
That's coming out of roads special projects, I believe. Is that right?
I believe that's where we originally slated it to come out of.
We have more.
There's no.
We sent you our first copy of the 3 to 5 year equipment plan for the road department. We're not asking for any action on this. We're looking to cover this or get the plan approved on the 29th at that meeting. I would like to go over how it was broke down. We put the road individually this year instead of putting all the departments together in one large spreadsheet. We put the road together because they're all pulling from the same fund and they're all working together, pretty much shuffling the deck between the three shops from this fund to get the equipment. So their plan had to be built as one plan in order to make it work. You'll see that the costs are broke down by the year on the bottom. The projected cost for that year, given a new subtotal to the fund, the yearly budget for that fund from those departments, and a new project or projected total for that fund for that year. I think you'll also notice that as we pulled this apart, the shop foremans had several options for different types of equipment that they looked at and different types of purchasing plans and the way that they wanted to work this, this plan to not only get the equipment that they wanted, but to spread the purchasing out for the length of the warranty. So what I'd ask you to do is look and go over it, and at some point, because they are the ones that researched this equipment, if you want them to come in either on the 29th, or if we on the 29th approve the plan and go out to bid, if you want them to come in when those bids are here, either way, they're going to be the ones that need to come in and explain what purchases were needed and why they asked for this equipment. So I guess I need, after you look at this, your direction on when you would like those shop foremans to come in and speak to you or mechanics about this equipment and why they asked for this equipment.
Budget time.
I see one thing on there, boom mower, they want a front wheel assist. I think we just got rid of 2 front wheel assist boom mowers, right?
That's correct.
Why did we sell the front wheel assist ones and keep the 2-wheel drive?
The recommendation, as I recall, was to sell the front wheel assist because they would bring more of a auction price based on being newer units. But that's what I,
Makes sense to me. If we add them, and we get rid of them with the other one, now we're gonna turn around and sell this one. So
When is
we're gonna have
that?
to buy another new one,
When is that on there?
2027. If we're needing a front wheel assist, why do should we have the front wheel assist now? We just sold 2.
Are they talking about upgrading the one that we have in 2027?
Well, they probably-
correct.
that was our plan. We kept the one and went to 2 boom mowers with the Tricos.
So I guess my thought is that we have them come in next week to kind of go over this. That way we can ask questions and things that way and then look to approve the following week.
That's fun.
No.
I think this is something that needs to be done during budget time, not in the middle of the year. I mean, that's why I've been really pushing hard on every year. It's why a lot of people are upset. Give us details, give us details. Well, none of this was brought to us during budget.
We pushed last year's purchasing. We stopped it halfway through to wait on the auction and to see what the totals were. What was approved for last year was the list was shortened up and we only purchased a percentage of it. I believe somewhere near half of what we projected last year to wait on the auction and to see what those numbers would bring before we went ahead and did anything else. That's why it's calendar-wise, it's positioned where it's at.
And then on the dump truck here, it says that it's sold in auction. I think that one was, the truck had been broke for quite a while, right? Or something was wrong with it?
On which numbers and things, I would have to let them,
What I'm saying is, are we just buying another one because we hadn't used that one in quite a while anyway? I didn't think, the one that we sold.
In 2025.
Right, 2025 is what I'm looking at the whole thing.
So is this a wants list or a needs list? The wants, right?
this is what they projected to upgrade equipment and what they needed for the shops over the next 3 to 5 years. And again, to have a detailed discussion on it and how they came to this list, we're going to have to invite them in.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to know, I don't know how we're supposed to make decisions on something I don't even know where half this stuff is, or, I know here a few years ago, they came in and said they needed a open floor trailer, or whatever it's called for rock, and we used it one time and we've already sold it. Didn't seem like, and it was a necessity back then, and we never used it. That was before you.
Okay.
Then this gooseneck flatbed trailer, I don't know what that is, 38,000. That's, we've talked about the trailer multiple times. I don't know if that's the smaller one, but we've talked, we have one. I don't know what gooseneck trailer to haul culverts with. I think
I don't know if it's for culverts or for the mini X's or I shouldn't call it a mini X, but the
Did we
excavators.
purchase one for that?
we have one. We've got
we have one.
Culverts, I had one shop and another shop wanted one. And I think we talked about just sharing the one we have.
Right.
What we talked about, but I don't know what this is. You can bring them in. I don't have a problem with them coming in and talking to us.
Yeah, and I think that they come in and answer questions next Monday, right? And
That's
then we
fine.
look to make our decision the following week. Are you good with that?
Can they bring in all the details they have on, I mean, what they absolutely need? I know, didn't we just buy or was that for road or for landfill? We just bought a semi truck here not too long ago and it's already 3 or 4 years ago, we bought a semi truck and it's not operating anymore. Is that correct?
I can't answer to what we bought 3 to 4 years ago. I wouldn't have been here, and I can tell you the way that we intend to give this to you, the other departments, I'll send you a similar breakdown of their requests next week or in this next week's packet. But the landfill, until we make some directional decisions, I don't know where to go with the equipment list for the landfill because that's going to change depending on what decisions we make with the larger projects there. So I basically intend to break it down so it's a little easier to digest and look at. Okay, we had a John Deere tractor that was at Prairie Land getting in work done. The tractor had been damaged during mowing, and the roof section had been damaged on it. We spent $1,000 based on our deductible for insurance, but the total was $12,216 for the repairs on it. It's a 2014 JD 51E with 38, just over 3,800 hours on it. We looked at the estimates because while it was down there, we had a rear seal leak on it. They pulled it out or pulled it apart, found shavings in it, and gave us two estimates. If it's in the rear of the machine, it would be just over 4,500. If it was forward or they had to break it apart in the transmission, it'd be over 11,000 to repair that machine. I spoke to Jack in the Pleasanton shop. This is a good time of year for him to have something that is a little longer project if he had to break it down. He's pretty confident that he can pull this machine apart and do the repairs in that shop and ourselves. There is no known cost because, again, we don't know what the problem is until we dig into it, similar to the shop that it's sitting at. And we may have to purchase some of the equipment or tools to work on this to pull it apart and repair it, if there are any specific tools to be used for it. I don't see that as a downfall. We have quite a bit of John Deere equipment, so if he can pull it apart, put it back together, obviously it's going to be cheaper, or we estimate it to be cheaper than what the bids are. If it's the problems that they've told us they believe it is, we can do the work in-house. It may cost us a little bit in time and equipment, but we can do it in-house for a cheaper rate.
What do you guys think?
We can do it cheaper. We've got mechanics. I guess that's what we got them for.
I agree.
Okay. I'll update you when he gets it pulled apart, to tell you which of the two it is. Obviously, because one of them is a lot more costly than the other, and we would have to reestimate what our cost to repair it would be. So I'll try to update you when we get to that point. Road and Bridge interviews for new hires is going to be on the 19th. You also had a update for the lagoon project. Spoke to the property owner. They're okay with starting in late February or early March, same as the contractor had projected. They were just fine with that. So that is one of the two options that the contractor gave us. And again, it's my recommendation that we just delay the project and start back up when it's weather permitting.
I'm good with that.
I am too.
Yeah, man.
Make sure that's all that I had on my list. If that's all I had on my list, the only thing that I would have after that would be 5 minutes of legal.
Will you be around here later on when we talk about goals, or discuss 2024 goals? Will you-
Yes.
Sean, one question I do have for you, like on this cost summary, marina store operations, campground maintenance, cabin cleaning, patrol the park, is that all on your fee schedule that we get a month?
I'm sorry.
So the marina store operations, the park patrol, campground maintenance, and cabin cleaning, is that all on the monthly fee report that we get from the park?
I would have to look into that and get you an answer for that because I'm not for sure where those numbers are pulled from between the two. One's from Pub Works and the other, I believe, comes out of,
The monthly park report that I give you is what we've actually paid for the month out of accounts payable.
Okay.
So anything that's an expense that we're writing a check on would be in that.
On the boom mowing with the new excavators, is it broke down in the boom mowing here? Is that boom mowing with the tractor or the brush maintenance? Where is the boom mowing with the new excavators? Do you have it broke out anywhere?
I'll have to find out how that's entered in.
On the trash pickup on the very end of the list, is that the containers that we pick up?
Let me pull the list and look at it. I believe you're correct on that one, that those would be, and I can't tell you what other items may be added to those, but I believe your container pickups would be on that.
Joyce just came in and told me that for the park numbers, that's strictly employee hours for those,
Task.
tasks. It's not any bill that we have to pay, and the trash pickup does include the container.
So the employee hours, whatever we paid during the month, is what I put on the report.
So it's already in there. It's just, this is how they're allocating those hours.
That's all I had for you at this time.
Anything else for Sean?
I don't have any.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, we'll go ahead and open it up for public comment. A citizen desiring to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so at this time. Discussion is limited to 5 minutes and the commission will not take action at this time. Items introduced under public comment may become agenda items for a later time or date. Is there any public comment today? Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Having none. We've got 5 minutes of it. Do you have anything else?
That would take probably another 5 or 10 minutes.
I've got a question here that's been reached out to me by landowner that Sean showed up or called and asked to meet with him over confined feeding operation. It was told that the commission guided him to do this. I don't know about that one. So you guys know anything about it?
I thought we did guide them to reach out to them to have a preliminary meeting
We're
to
at,
discuss back in executive session.
can't do business in executive session.
No decisions can be made in executive
Okay.
session. However, let me say that I think their position is, that it's in the regulations, so that's what he was following, that's what I understand.
Can't, why do we pick on one? I mean, it's a
Because it was like,
animal, or regulation said it. Let's see, confined animal feeding. So where do you go with that? You know, that's all our regulation says, animal confined feeding.
I believe that it's defined in there.
Look it up.
I don't.
I think you'll find it just says animal confined feeding. That could be dogs, couldn't it? Could be sheep. I think we're, how did you just go to one person? I mean, we got a lot of animal confined feedings in Linn County. That's my question.
Okay.
It was stated that the commission approved that. I don't remember approving it.
Do you have any recollection?
You remember it, Danny?
I'm not really. What? It's like I don't know if this is like a trick question or how do you, I mean, I don't understand. I mean, it's,
I think it's fair to say that the commission took no formal action to cause that to happen.
That is
I think
correct.
it's also.
It was stated that we did. So I'll tell you what, if that's the way it's stated, I don't agree with it.
I would also suggest that it's probably within the bounds of their job descriptions to do that, but
Whose job description? Public Works
Did you-
Director?
Did you approve the zoning regs?
What?
Did you approve the zoning regs?
Yeah, but that thing's been there for 20 years. So where do you start at? Where are we gonna start at grandfathering? That regulation's been there for a long time. Where are you gonna start at? Are we gonna grandfather somebody, or are we just gonna jump in and pick and choose? I'm asking, because it got brought to me, and I'll tell you what, on the phone, and I didn't know, so I tell you what, I need an answer, is what I need.
our typical approach on any kind of thing like that, whether you're talking about that or nuisance or anything else, is we don't go out looking for violations. But if a complaint comes in, then we respond to it and try to look.
So we tell them to go, I mean, so we do business behind closed doors, I guess, what I'm asking then, because we should, if we're gonna do this,
We're asking what do we,
So you don't think that it was necessary to collect data on the complaints that we were receiving from citizens to hold a meeting to
you can.
try to,
You can collect data, but do we have we ran to the solar companies, the people that's leased it, and just go pick one of them out and go talk to him? I don't think we have. We haven't sent somebody out there. I don't know about it. Maybe you guys have sent other emails out or things about it. I don't know.
okay,
There's things that I don't know that's happening around here, and I'd like to know. I don't like this. I don't like what happened there. When I get called and says that the commission are the ones that approved this, I don't remember approving it.
do you remember the complaints that we'd had? And things that way?
I've heard a lot of complaints about a lot of complaints every week.
Okay,
I do, but we don't seem to fix some of them, clean the ditches out. We don't do a lot of things around here, but, there's a lot of things that happen that I don't know about.
Okay.
And this is pretty big. The regulation has been there a long time, Jason. And they don't say cattle operation, it says animal confined feeding. And what is animal confined feeding? Is it a dog pen? Is it 10 goats out there? Is it sheep? And we go pick, we choose one person to go talk to.
Jim, if I may,
You can come up and talk if you want to. It's public comment.
My name's Brad Austin. We feed cattle in the county. Not only feed cattle, we row crop farm. If any of you don't know who we are, we're located around Centerville, up to Lacey, in Linn County, Bourbon County, Anderson County, Miami County, Franklin County. A little bit, I think what Jim's talking about here has been started from some public comment through Kansas Department of Health and Environment. We have to be permitted by the state. We are regulated by the state. I don't necessarily believe that some of the things that they're discussing now has to do with the feeding part of it as much as the county infrastructure, the roads. Just so I might be able to shed a little bit of light on this. 95% of the trucks that come and go out of there have ICC authority. They pay heavy use tax to the federal government. We are regulated by the federal government. There's certain things we can do. There's certain things we can't. We've had Department of Transportation stop some of those trucks. They weigh the trucks. Those drivers have a certain level of professionalism that is used across the entire state of Kansas, every state in the union. We can't tell them necessarily that, put stipulations on what they do because they are governed by the federal government. I can say in our operation there's been cattle fed on that corner for in excess of 70 years through 2 different families now. The roads that are down there, I can tell you, are way better than they have been in the past. What we're doing down there, what the county's doing down there, it's not that, is it perfect? No, but it wasn't perfect when we started. So with that said, yeah, there may be some complaints about it, but they didn't see what it was like before, apparently, because it's way better than it is now. Anytime we build a new fence, we move it back from the county road an extra 25 feet. We do that on our own accord for the simple fact that maintenance can be done. We want to be good neighbors, just like everybody else. We don't want any problems. We want to do the right thing by our neighbors, the county, the government. If somebody has something an issue that they want to talk about, there's always somebody there. There's 11 full-time people that work for our operation. They've got families. We are there 365 days a year. We don't take days off. So if anybody's got anything that they need to say, first of all, they could bring that to us and we can discuss it. But second of all, I don't believe that we've done anything wrong. we are in compliance with Kansas Department of Health and Environment. Just trying to shed a little bit of light on this. I do appreciate everything that everybody's done. But let's just all try to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Anything else?
Not now.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion that we recess the Board of Commission meeting to executive session for 15 minutes for legal advice with the county counselor for 10 minutes and with the county counselor and Sean for 5 minutes pursuant to the consultation with attorney exception listed in KSA 754319B, Section 2, concerning obtaining legal advice from the county counselor.
I'll second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. We're back in.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back in session. You want us to go over the resolutions, or do you want to go over the resolutions?
Decide which one you want to deal with today. I had prepared a resolution on the fire board.
Yep.
Prepared a resolution regarding the approval of surveys for recording. I wanted to do the two.
Yes.
Okay. Let me, first one is resolution, board, be the number, David.
Which I had the fire one down as 03.
Okay. 2024-03. The title is a resolution disbanding the Board of Trustees of Linn County Fire District Number 1 and amending and replacing certain sections of resolution number 2015-03. The gist of this is that the commissioners had the authority to disband the fire board because it's a matter of their creation. In order to disband it, we had to make 2 or 3 changes in the fire district resolution, which was 2015-03. We've made those changes. It's just really, most of it is technical stuff. But the gist of this entire resolution is that the fire board would be disbanded. So I don't know that it's necessary to read every word out of it. It's available. So if you're prepared to do that, you need a motion to approve resolution 2024-03.
Is there a motion to approve resolution 2024-03?
I'll make a motion to approve 2024-03, disbanding the fire board.
I'll second it.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
I put the number on this one if you guys want to sign it.
Motion carries.
Survey number, David.
So it would be 04. And I've got one number here for that.
The second resolution is entitled Resolution for Governing Body of Linn County Counties requiring the county surveyor to review surveys for compliance with county zoning regulations. The essence of the background of this one is that the statute requires the county surveyor to survey or to review all surveys that get reported here in the county. The statute lists a number of things that he's supposed to check. It also says that if the county wants him to check zoning regulations to make sure that any lot splits or subdivisions are in compliance with our zoning and subdivision regulations, you can add that to the requirements. And that's what this resolution does. It requires that when a survey is submitted for recording, it comes through planning and zoning first. They look at it and make sure that if any lot split needs to be done, it's been done. And then it goes on to the surveyor who signs off on it and goes to the register of deeds to record. And that's what this resolution is requiring. It will be, once it's been passed, it will be sent out to all surveyors so they're aware of it.
So that, the person that's doing the split will pay for the extra cost. Okay.
In fact, the extra cost would be if there is a block split required, they would have to pay for that. They're already doing the survey themselves.
Right.
The only other accommodation that's necessary here is they would need to put a signature block on, you know how the survey has signature blocks on it, you know, for the different people to sign? It would be a signature block for planning and zoning to sign off that it's in compliance with zoning.
Okay.
If you want to implement that resolution, it would be a motion to approve resolution 2024-04.
I'll move that we pass resolution number 2024-04 on surveys.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay. Anything, Nick? That's all you've got?
Gary, I want you to stick around a little bit if you would, please. Can you?
Make a motion around.
I didn't know we hired a comedian, but that's okay. If we do, we'll put it up for bid.
Tommy's all in.
We need to take care of that other item.
So last week, we talked about, you came out of an executive session. I got a note on increases on 3 department heads due to their evaluations. And I think the comment was made during the meeting, we'd make a motion to approve that. We never got back to that motion. So if this is what we're doing, we need a motion on Sean, Randy, and Chris for the increases that were given due to their evaluations. And from what I have on the note that I received from you guys last week, it looks like Sean's was 1 step, Randy's was 4, and Chris's was 2.
Okay.
Good with it. I'll make a motion, we accept the step increases for Randy, Sean, and Chris.
I'll second.
Motion been moved and seconded to accept to give the step increases on Randy, Sean, and Chris. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Okay, what else do we got?
That's all I have today.
We had on here discussing 2024 goals as well.
Tell you what,
Something else?
I've been reached out to about as far as for our forum for the solar meeting. You know, as far as getting the word out to people. But what do we think of making sure we put the ad on the front page of the Linn County News and then making the journal gets it to and posts it 2 or 3 times before. I reached out to Sean Thomas at the Jayhawk High School because they had the call for their storms. He said he'll put whatever we want on that for a meeting as many times as we need it, and he'll send it out to his people if to get everybody, to let everybody know that we are having this meeting.
Okay,
You know, and I didn't reach out to the other 2, but if you guys want to reach out to your district superintendents and see if they'd put it on too.
we have the same notification system, I would guess.
And he told me, he said, just get it written up the way you want it. And he said, I'll put it on as many times as you want it and let you notify everybody in the school. They get a text and a phone call, I guess. I don't know.
Okay,
That's a way of getting it to quite a few people, I believe,
I think it would be too.
if you guys are good with it.
Yeah.
Do we need-
I don't know, when is the date, the scheduled date? Does anybody, have we scheduled anything?
I'll get there.
I don't know what a front page ad costs, but I mean, even putting it someplace where everybody can sure see it, I guess, is what was talked about.
If you get something wrote up, we have that Everbridge notification system. We can send the same thing out on ours, and it's for people that signed up to get notifications. So if you get something wrote up, email it to our office, and we can send it out that way too, because they'll get it text message and email as well. So
Okay,
We have our digital whiteboard or whatever it is too, that we, we put where, I think it was sitting right out here when it told the time of the light show.
what about like if we had flyers and put them at the businesses around town to make sure everybody knows? Is that something we could do? You know, if somebody would choose to put them out?
Darren, he's asking if there are any more.
Nothing's been scheduled yet. I'm hoping to have an answer this week from Lacey.
Okay, from the school?
Yeah.
Well, we talked about the school, Jayhawk will put it on their notification system for us. We just need it written, what it is and when and where, and he said he'll put it on as many times as we want it. That's for the school.
Yeah, I should have a date this week and I'll be able to start sending that stuff out.
Okay. Thanks.
Anything else?
Okay. I think that makes good sense. We want to get it out as much as we can, right?
Yep.
We want to how far out, that way we think we've had plenty of time for everybody for it to be ran in the paper, people to sign maybe anything like that. What's a realistic time frame?
I think Darren said at least 30 days.
So, I mean, I think we kind of left it to the ad hoc committee to set all that up, did we not?
Yeah, I mean,
The only thing that I'm concerned about is when it's written up in the newspaper, like when they did the Lacey meeting, it didn't say anything about wind and solar. It was kind of vague.
But this is only on solar.
But can we make sure that it is expressed in the article?
well, I'd like to see the ad hoc committee come up with what we're going to put in and exactly where, and, you know, and,
Suggest we bring that, so we know what everybody's supposed to do.
okay.
Okay.
Just, mentioning everybody knows what's going on.
Same page. Yeah. because the
Can we
one
get
time-
Darren back in there, please?
Just a lot of times, I don't think everybody knows exactly what we're supposed to do, and it just kind of funnels its way through it somehow.
Wondering up with what to say in the ad or whatever, what we put out. Can you guys come up with that in your meeting, exactly the wording of what we're going to put, ask the papers to put it in and come up with a date? Like it would be the first 2 weeks in March would be good. I mean, would that be enough time? If that's what you guys give us enough time to get it out to where everybody has.
Yeah, I was figuring from the time that we got a date with the school, 30 days from there.
Okay.
Or from confirmation with the school, I was planning on asking 30 days and immediately I can start sending out notifications. And I'll ask them tomorrow night what they would like the flyer or the publication to say.
I think that would be good.
And like, if we can get it to the schools, I mean, I'll take it to Sean if we need to, but if we get it, he said he'll put it on as many times as we'd like. If, you know, 2 weeks out, a week out, and then, but a few days before or whatever, he said it didn't matter. It was easy for him to do it.
I'd like to see whenever you come up with dates to put that, our digital sign on one of the main entrance going into the biggest city in that district, you know what I mean? And
Okay.
put solar meeting this day and just let it run
And rotate it.
yeah, and just rotate from, whichever districts, have some meeting coming up, so.
Okay.
Because we're only planning on having one meeting, right? There's only gonna be one at Prairie View.
Yeah, so, we'll have a public forum is what this is gonna be. And then, once we make the changes, depending on what route we go, if we make the changes, then there'll have to be a public hearing. And that'll be
Correct.
set, I gotta give 20 days notice on that. And then after that, planning and zoning can vote on it, and then I'll bring it to the commission for their vote.
Everybody clear on that?
Okay.
Okay.
So if we do, I'm just trying to understand it all. So we do this open forum, then if ad hoc and planning and zoning or however it works out, makes changes like their opinions are different on the findings of Golden versus Overland Park, then you would do a public hearing?
Correct.
I guess what calls for it, that's what,
Anytime we change the regulations.
okay,
So if we change them, there has to be a hearing. If we put on a ban, there has to be a hearing. No matter, I mean,
But at the hearing, we didn't talk about the ban on when we had comments. In the April meeting?
yes, it was already in the regulations for the hearing.
The lack of wind was in the regulations that were approved.
Presented.
In the hearing.
They were presented at the hearing.
It wasn't a separate ban. It was built in.
So if we have a public hearing, we need to either present findings that'll, for the ban, or present findings.
Now, a public hearing, you don't present anything, you listen to the public.
So through your ad hoc committee, you'll be doing the findings and things of that nature. That's where you'll have your findings.
at the hearing,
No,
at the forum,
when you're in your committee meeting
okay.
is where the findings will be determined through your ad hoc committee. Am I correct in stating that?
Technically, the way it works is, the ad hoc committee discusses this, argues it out, and then presents it to the board.
Planning and zoning.
And the planning commission are the ones that make findings based upon the discussions with the ad hoc committee. The planning commission makes findings and makes a recommendation. If their recommendation is to make a change, then they have to have a public hearing.
To make a change on what they're doing, whether it's prohibition or change in the regulations.
Correct.
Whatever change. If they're gonna make any change, they have a public hearing so the public can say, here's what we think about the changes you're gonna make. They go back then and either stand with the changes as they made them or adjust based upon comments in the public hearing. Then they vote on that set of changes. And if they vote to approve that set of changes, it comes to the commission. And the commission either approves it or doesn't.
Okay, so just a question we had talked about at our last meeting. Is it legally right or ethically right to continue to work on the regulations when we don't have the public's input? Like, are we just wasting our time? Because if we were very just decided on how we want to do it in there too. And I'm not speaking for the whole board by any means, speaking for myself. But if we should continue to work on the regulations or not, because the last thing we want to do is waste everybody's time. If it was a possibility of that it wouldn't be a prohibition, or if we just had so much public input that would change a lot of the regulations. Like if people's requirements of what they spoke about were a lot different than what we've been working on, we'd basically be starting over again. What's your guys' opinion on that?
My opinion is that you need to be discussing the regulations because those are the points where we're going to be making our decision based off of whether we're putting a ban on or whether we're going with regulations and things that way. That's your opportunity to discuss that particular item with that board. No?
I don't think so, but
We don't talk about bans. We have to, when we do the regulations, it's about moving the project.
But you could present your findings or what research you have that says that the setbacks aren't acceptable, that says that whatever it is, I mean, right? Can you not, or can you?
no, we can't. It's just, none of
I
it,
guess the way I feel about this is what he's saying is that, does the planning and zoning board even looking at a prohibition, or are they looking, are we saying we just want, regulations?
What you have to do is review the regulations to decide if there will need to be changed. If that change includes saying, we think there should be a ban on solar, then they should bring that to you, yeah.
That's my
So that's what
understanding as
maybe
well.
we need to
I
reinforce.
think last week you told,
Richard that,
Richard that, I think, didn't you?
Yep.
of what they want to do, yeah. That, just make it clear to them that we're not,
I'm not,
Make, you know,
I'm-
they understand now that that's what, that if planning and zoning board, if the report from themselves and the extra people, the ad hoc committee, that they prefer a ban, then they'll bring that right as a possibility.
Yeah, I don't think that that's out of the question. I think that they want to review the regulations to, how do I want to say this? To just make sure that they went through everything. And if at the end of going through the regulations that they feel prohibitions, something that they need to do, that's when that'll come up. I think it's in everybody's mind that there could be a prohibition, but I think they're looking at it in all fairness of the regulations to go through them and then decide if it should be a ban.
Okay.
And I'm not speaking for them. I'm just just through conversations that I've had is what I'm getting.
okay.
I guess we could ask them too, how they feel about waiting until, if they want to continue with their time of regulations until the ad hoc meeting, how do they feel? Because they're the ones that's spending their time doing it.
Richard suggested we waited until after the public forum.
That's what I'm saying. At least ask them the question, do you guys want to continue with this? Or do you want to wait until the public forum?
I think they should continue having the discussions myself, because I think that's the only way we're going to come down and have our significant findings to be able to impose a ban.
They're the ones doing it. The way I look at it is if they choose to want to continue it, I don't think we need to be putting our thumb on them as far as the board. If the board continues, they want to wait and see, or if they want to continue, I don't have a problem either way, I guess.
You've always tried to give them a lot of autonomy, and I think.
How do you feel, Danny?
I mean, I feel, I don't know, I mean, when we first came up with this, I mean, it was kind of unclear. I mean, we couldn't agree up here. I don't really know where I'm at on it, truthfully. I think we should come up with something and we write it down so that everybody's on the same page. Because right now, yeah, I don't want to waste any of their time. I mean,
Well, I'm saying ask them is what I'm saying, is if they want to continue until they get
but at the same time, I mean, I think it's important that they do deal with our planning and zoning, and get facts to be able to present to people that's going to ask them questions. Because I mean, you sit on that board, people are going to come to you and ask, why'd you post this on Facebook? What's your rhyme or your reason on this? And I think it's important that you have facts straight. So, I mean,
Last week, they were going to say, we'll wait till afterwards, but then it was brought up, maybe you didn't want us to do it. But if you're saying you give us the autonomy to speak and make that decision, then we can talk.
so how's you guys' meetings rolling right now? You're just
So they're going okay. I'm in the process of typing up everything that they've gone through so I can get it to you. I was hoping to be able to get it to you before today, but I just ran out of time with everything else going on. I should be able to get you something this week up to date so you can see the progress that's been made, the changes that they're talking about. So the question was asked if they wanted to wait, and I brought up that they were asked to go through the regulations, so they went ahead and had the meeting. I'm more than happy to ask them if they want to wait till after the public forum or move forward, or I think they're wanting guidance from the commissioners.
I think they need to be going through the regulations still.
I agree.
I was gonna say,
My-
just a
my
quick
thing with
comment
the-
too.
Go ahead.
Whenever we talk about a section and we talk about the changes, Darren's the one that is taking notes on all that. I think we are as well. Just in my head, I was just processing this, like, I feel like I need to see it the next week. Like, once we make a change, I'd like to see it, like we review it, like when we come in and we can review last week's changes that we made to make sure everything we discussed was accurately represented on the new regulation.
Okay.
I don't know if it's like something on the computer, because like Darren just said, he's still working on it. We've been at this for 3 weeks. It's a lot of work for him to go through every single section. I feel like we're gonna wait until the end in a way, and then we all get to go back and review it, and it's like, whoa, like this is a lot of work. So we go over a section. I feel like maybe he could put it in red, like what we changed, and then we review it, and then we approve it or don't, like that night, and then we go into the next section. Does that
So-
make sense?
Yeah.
It does as far as the reviewing. I mean, you're not going to be able to approve because they're
I just-
a workshop.
I know what I mean. I know. That's what I mean.
Your
Like,
recommendations on it.
yeah, like we'll discuss it, the section, and there's a lot of things that we all agreed to change. Maybe he could put it in red, it's like what we're changing and mark out what we, like, still leave it on the document, but just put up the strike through.
Right.
And just, so then we can all make sure that we're on the same page, because,
I think that would be good.
Have you discussed this with the committee, this process that you're proposing?
no, I'm
I
just,
think you should, because that's,
well, I can't speak at this, because I'm in a.
But you have two other,
I know, but I'm just saying.
Right.
Anyway, I think that would be helpful for us, because,
But that's not the kind of thing the committee would micromanage.
Right.
Leave that up to the committee to figure that out.
And that's what I'm trying to say is if the board that thinks they want to wait, I don't, personally, that's my opinion. I don't have a problem with them waiting myself, if that's what if that's what the board chooses to do, because it's just going to make their workload more later. But if that's what they choose to do, I don't have a problem with it.
I think this is a learning process for all of us. This ain't something that we're doing this to make sure that we make the right decisions. How about you guys go to your meetings? You guys lay out how you guys want it to work, you know, what you think the best options are on present it to us or whatnot. And then bring that to us next week and we can talk about it. We can all agree on how this committee is going to operate, and then we can move forward from there. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, so I'm just curious, I mean, what's everybody's opinion here on legally? Does it seem crazy to be making regulations that we may then put a prohibition on? Because we're sitting there working on findings, right? So, and I don't know, like, I feel like it's just a negotiation because that's how it is. But if you guys, if I want a prohibition, because I truly believe that the county needs it, and I think you already have findings that are really close to the same thing on just wind. So every time we talk about, so basically, let's just say 1401B here, I just going to say I want a prohibition on it. That meeting's not going to go real good. So that's why I'm just saying, like, we need to figure out a way for it to be more fluid, or waiting until we get more public comment, because then I think we will have more public input of knowing, because public input's a huge part of one of the findings for that, of which way you go. And I think on your public comment, you're also going to get a lot of people that may say that they're extremely worried about the setbacks, or you may have people really worried about the traffic. I just think that it gives you more to work off of.
but if you don't have anything out there for them to comment on, where are we going?
Right now, we do have something. We have our current regulations.
Okay, but
Right.
you've told us that those aren't sufficient.
Agreed. And when you guys did the first public hearing, there wasn't a set of regulations for wind when you guys put a prohibition on it.
Right, but had they discussed them in planning and zoning?
No.
They were written, but they weren't discussed. They brought up prohibition. When I came and presented it to the commission.
We asked for them at that time.
We presented the wind and we were asked if there was a regulation written, and was asked to produce that also. So you guys could review it.
From what I was told from several planning and zoning members, that there was a generic set that COP made that they never worked on. Because of
So how did we have findings for that?
Because they found the findings to support what the citizens of Linn County wanted. Does that make sense?
Okay,
It's just kind of, when you're working on it, it's really like working on two different things. Because I have no problem trying to present my case.
But I want to say that the argument's the same. Do you understand what I'm saying there, Mark?
Not really.
The argument
In
is
your
the same.
regulations, in our regulations, we probably have, I don't know, only just 15 pages, right?
Right.
In our findings, we have 5 or 6 findings. So I think it's completely different.
Okay.
I think your regulations are more in depth and everything else, to where if you're working on something, you work on the findings first, because there's, 6 key points versus working on something that has 100 key points.
But we'd already determined that there was other points that needed to be addressed and thought about beyond just the findings, right?
Right. Okay.
And that's what the regulations are.
We'll try a new approach on it.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Bring us next week how you guys feel. There, can you work with everybody and you guys kind of figure out the best way to align all this out and move forward with it?
Yeah.
Come back to us and tell us how you guys are gonna operate this committee, and then we can all be on the same page. Because right now, I mean, I agree, it's a shit show.
Yep.
Do you guys agree with that?
I'm fine with that.
A shit show. Are you guys good with that, Mark? Everybody work together and come up with an operating plan of your committee and how we're gonna do it.
Yep. We can do that. Anything else?
I don't either. Okay. (2024) goals.
But I'd like to make a motion, we go into executive 15 minutes for non-elected personnel.
Okay. I'll second that motion. It's been moved and seconded to go into executive session for 15 minutes for non-elected personnel. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Who do you want in there, Jim?
You and Gary.
there is no motion.
Okay.
Or no action, I mean.
All right, we ready to jump into 2024 goals?
So one that I've kind of been kind of loud about is whenever you first got here, Jason, and I brought in a bunch of contracts from other counties that are mutual aid agreements, I guess you'd call them, between other cities and counties that, you know, were similar size to us, and presented, you know, how they operate and what they do. And I believe that that's something I would like to look into with, it's going to take our sheriff, the cities, and ourselves to come up with the right decision and how things operate. We'd also talked about the jail, but we'd already kind of got that taken care of.
Right.
Well, I think dispatch is huge. I think there's a lot of things that the cities can help with if they're going to run a police department. So I would like to have in-depth conversations with them about it and how their operation runs and exactly what we're providing to them, and kind of move forward there.
Okay. And I've been in contact with Linn Valley and Lacine as far as those things and everything that way. So I think the door's already open, I would say, in my district as far as us to have those discussions.
Good. I think it starts with the sheriff too. We got, you know, he's gonna have to be, you know, highly involved and educate us on exactly, you know, what all is what. And
You have any thoughts on that?
That's fine with me. I think that's a good,
Okay.
something to look on.
What else did you have, Dan?
kind of the same thing with the fire departments too, mutual aids.
Okay.
Our policies, I think that's a massive one. I don't know how we should do it. I know that, do we let each department head, you know, read into their policy that pertains to them, and they come back with feedback and we review it? We do a workshop over it. How do you guys feel about that?
I think we should be reviewing the policies.
I think it's important that we have the department heads give their opinion. They're the ones doing it every single
Right.
day, not you and I, but, that's another
So
one.
maybe go through each department
Yeah, and get their feedback, and then
and try to schedule it. And that way we're bringing ourselves up to speed on what policies are in place as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Another one, and I don't know, I don't know. This one just kind of throwing it out there. And I mentioned it before, and it's kind of how we got the computers. I feel, and I know we can't do it, but like Bolivar, Missouri, I know that their commissioners go 2 days a week. One day they come in and they get public opinion, or they're in office. They have an office in county, in their courthouse. They get public opinion. People come in there, ask them questions. They can review all the data that's going to be talked about. And then I think on like a Tuesday, they have a meeting. I don't know how we would do it. I would like to try to maybe organize something like that so that we're all on the same exact page. And we only discuss stuff that we have knowledge of that's been brought to our attention, like maybe the day before or half the day before, whatever. I don't know how we would do it, but we're up here making decisions in 10 seconds sometimes, and I don't think that's, for the best for the county.
I'll tell you what's been brought up to me a lot of times, and I don't know it takes a vote, but the 5 commissioner deal. There's a lot of people there's a lot of people in the county would like us to go to that. I mean, there's a lot of.
I've heard it as well, Jim.
A lot of feedback, and I don't know what it takes. If it takes us to decide to put it on the ballot, or
basically, I had my folder several weeks in a row in case you want to talk about
didn't bring it today, but I'll go through.
Well, it's just, I just keep, it's building steam as far as in the county. There's a lot more people that think that's what we need to do.
I hear it too.
Well, I've been here 3 years, and I'll tell you what, in the last 6 months, I've heard it way more than I heard it the other 2.5 years.
So like reorganization of the commission? I mean, would that-
Reorganize the commission and have 5 commissioners.
The statute allows you to have 3, 5, or 7 commissioners. And I think increasingly, there are at least 3 reasons why 5 would be good for our county. And so a lot of people think.
And it has to go to a public vote, right?
Yeah.
Because we're changing districts.
Right.
Basically, you would pass a resolution that lays out what the new districts would be. Here are the 5 districts we're proposing, then the public gets to vote on whether they accept that.
I think that'd be a good time that we throw out the idea of going 2 days a week too. Or maybe 1.5 days, I don't know. We put in a full day in the county, letting people come in, we discuss whatever's on the agenda for the next day with the department heads, we get all, we do our duties and, our research, and then the following day we talk about it in open session all together. And it's just thought, it's
going to take some discussion to do what we do. It's just ideas for people. I mean, that's
sounds like
what we're doing.
help us the best, because, well, I mean, this committee right here, but, long term, it might help.
Okay.
Goal.
I think we need to figure out this landfill. That's something we need to take a strong look at early in the year and get going up which direction we're headed.
I had that one down as well. Solid waste decision, making our decision on it, laying out the plan, how we're going to do it, and everything that way.
And the airport is another one. I want to figure out what, I want to get moving on that.
Me too. I had that one down as well.
Road maintenance is a huge one for me.
Another one of mine was the cleaning of the ditches. I'll tell you what, I've had landowners talk to me about it, and that they're willing to help us if we'll work with them. And I mean, we can put the dirt there and they'll haul it off for us. They'll take it. So, why we should be working with the landowners.
Hey, I'm ready to make a motion on a crew to do that full time.
We bought the 2 Tracos.
I agree.
And I mean, we've got those, and we've got we've got maintainers.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a huge one. And you guys know where I feel about it. I think our rock budget's going to keep going up if we don't do something. I would rather, do a section at a time and not put gravel on it until everything.
Well, we're not going to fix our roads till we fix our ditches. I mean, we can keep dumping the gravel in the road, but then it ends up down the creek.
I
You
agree.
got good gravel in the creek, but that's the only place you got it. We've got to fix our roads or our ditches before we fix our roads.
Okay.
When it rains and it's running down the middle of the road, it's not doing us much good.
Okay. The other ones that I had that haven't been mentioned. So I pushed for the employee survey last year, and I didn't get the job done on it. So I would like to try to get that done before budget season starts here, if that's something that you guys would be willing to work with me on. And then the other one I had was start developing contingency plans for the power plant leaving.
Yeah.
Trying to get in contact with Evergy right now, trying to develop a resource through there.
They're not going to tell you the day that power plant shuts down. They'll tell you about a year from the time it's going to happen. If it shuts down, they're not going to give you the plan.
So what they have filed with the state of Kansas right now and the state of Missouri is 2032 and 2039.
Because they have to do that.
Correct. But yeah,
They have to. I mean,
I understand. That's going to be a monumental change for the county. And I believe we need to start thinking about it today, not,
You know, it's just kind of like I was at Waverly Saturday night. You know how hard the wind was blowing? One turbine, wind turbine out of 96 was running and real slow. And I don't understand that. Why wasn't they all running? You know, I don't,
Yeah.
one was running. Sunday morning, nothing was running.
okay.
So I don't see that unless the oil was so thick they wouldn't run. I don't know.
Right. I don't know.
But it had the wind blowing.
Okay. Anything else? Want to just kind of go through and give thoughts on these next week? And then try to prioritize how we're going to tackle them?
I think utilizing, figuring out if we're utilizing the Linn County Park to the fullest is massive. I know I got a contact number for a guy that I didn't like the answer that I got on the discussion we had about like side-by-sides and trails and stuff. So I did reach out to a guy and we missed each other's calls, but he's supposedly deals with a lot of the land stuff at the power plant. So I'm going to start the year, I'm going to continue to reach out to him and
Fine with that.
because we dealt with the same thing with swimming. Everybody's like, oh, you can't do swimming. And here we are, we can do swimming.
Well, you've got to get hold of the right person.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if it's Evergy or who it is, you might get no a lot of times until you find the right person. You may get no then too, but you've got to search.
Right.
Just want to be sure we're utilizing everything to the fullest. That's a good list.
Okay. Anything else, David?
Just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Presidential preference primary is coming up in roughly 2 months. The rules are going to be different on that, on canvas and advanced ballots. There's quite a few things that are different than normal elections, but one of the changes is we have to have the canvas within 9 days. Right now on other elections, we have 13 days. I still have to do an audit in between election day and canvas day. I have to get it approved by the Secretary of State before we can have the canvas. So we might be looking at having a special meeting that Wednesday on the night, or it used to be Thursday, it'd be the 9th day the next week, just to get our canvas done in time.
August
No, this is March.
or March.
Yeah.
So a special meeting in March.
So just something, and like I say, we could try to get it done by the next Monday, but I just don't know how we're going to have time to be ready for a canvas 6 days after the election. I'm thinking we're going to probably need a special meeting that week.
Okay. What week is that?
The election is the 19th of March, which is a Tuesday. So I'd be looking
the
at
following.
probably the 28th.
Okay.
Would be 9 days, would be a Thursday. And no need to schedule it today, but just wanted you guys to be aware that that's probably coming up. And I probably will want you to go ahead and schedule one at some point, because I'll need to do a publication on when the canvas is too, so.
Correct.
I'll,
We got 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time.
yeah, and I'll bring more stuff in when we get a little closer.
Okay.
Commissioners, if I may, just a suggestion for your goals for this year. I don't know if you have a plan for them, but the other 2 buildings, one of them you discussed about the electric bill today, but the old county attorney's office and the sheriff's office was on our short list to try to resolve as well, if that's something you care to look at.
Okay.
Thank you, Sean. Anything else for today, guys? Okay. I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.